guys, wanted to do a quick little video making some equipment changes. As anybody that's watched my channel knows, I have been putting in AmeriStar products pretty much as long as I've been in business for myself. I went with AmeriStar because the distributor that I bought them through had always served me well and was real easy to get along with, and that's what it really comes down to, is who you get your equipment from. Will they take care of you? Because the majority of the manufacturers, they don't really care. They sell so much equipment, they're going to sell it to somebody, whether it's you or someone else, so you've got to be comfortable with who you deal with locally. That was C.C. Dixon for me, and as most of you probably had in your communities, a C.C. Dixon, you've noticed this year they went to United Refrigeration. United had bought them several years ago, but the majority of the stores, at least in my area, had stayed as C.C. Dixon ran stores until this year. They made the change, I believe it was the 1st of May, and one of the changes that happened in the last 2 months was United Refrigeration decided not to carry AmeriStar any longer. Their United Refrigeration stores were apparently carrying ICP products. So my C.C. Dixon will now be an Arco air dealer. It's going to make it a little tough on me for warranty. There's a Armstrong air dealer the next town over. I'm going to have to set up an account there in order to get any parts I might need for my existing installations. And of course I could buy Armstrong air from them and install it, but it's really inconvenient because the majority of my work is done 30 miles in the opposite direction from my home, not 30 miles in the direction of the Armstrong store. So it would really be a lot of travel time for me to continue to use the AmeriStar or Armstrong air product. I've installed one American Standard. I did it a couple of weeks ago. It was a 15 SEER heat pump with a GAM5 air handler, and it was really nice equipment. I like it a lot. I'm not a person that believes that one piece of equipment's necessarily better than any other. I think all equipment can operate if you put it in correctly. And to that end, many times when I had an apartment complex, I would put in a Goodman because of the 10-year warranty. A lot of your mainline manufacturers won't warranty apartments or other, residential, multi-family products over 5 years. So Goodman will do the 10 years, and that's one reason you see a lot of them in apartments, I believe. Of course, with American Standard and Train being owned by Ingersoll Rand, they have a product that comes out of China called AmeriStar, and the pricing on AmeriStar, I think, was put in place in order to compete with Goodman. In fact, it's better than I can buy Goodman for. So to that end, I've got a little job tomorrow. I'm going to put in a 3-ton air conditioner, and it's going to be an AmeriStar. I know we like to give Curtis a hard time up there in Southwest Virginia on his AmeriStars, but I had never touched one. I've never seen one around here. So this was a commercial building. People actually do refrigeration work on a small scale, and they just wanted an air conditioner. What they have now is an old, one of the old round carriers. It hadn't been working in a couple of years. So their furnace still works, and they're going to leave it. So all we're going to do is take out the indoor coil, put in the new AmeriStar coil, take out the outdoor condenser, put in the new AmeriStar condenser, and I'm going to run a new line set since that one's so old and it's easy to change. But I just wanted to show this unit off a little bit for people that maybe haven't seen one. First thing I noticed is the finish and the paint is really, really nice and smooth and slick. The metal is thicker than I would expect, much thicker than a comparably priced Goodman product. The grill on top is very nice. It's actually got, I don't know if you can tell by looking across it, it's actually domed up slightly, which makes it very rigid. It doesn't bounce around. The fan blade's kind of sweet. At least the embossing of it is really, really heavy. Makes it a little more rigid, I would hope. If you can see down inside there, you have a Copeland scroll compressor. Of course, this is straight AC, so there is no reversing valve or anything. Sticking with the panel part, it's got these slots punched in it. It's very, very good workmanship as far as the way their presses are set up. You can't cut your finger on these things. You can reach here and grab it, and they've really done a good job of punching these out and not having sharp edges on them. The control box, they have this extra piece of metal here that's been punched and got numerous screw holes and places in it that's actually attached to the backing plate, so that if you run a screw in here, you're not screwing all the way through to the inside of the unit and possibly puncturing a wire. Of course, lots of room on this one since we don't have a defrost board. But they have a 45 microfarad capacitor for the compressor. Then they have a separate for the fan motor. You have a closed contactor with lugs, and they still put the little pigtails on, kind of like American Standard or even some of the older carriers had. So I'm not sure I'll wire nut this. I think with a lug contactor I would probably opt to just take this pigtail off and put my wiring straight up to the contactor and take out a possible place for failure. Not a lot of room down here at the service valves, but if you've ever worked with our REs, you're used to that. You can actually get to these a little easier. So all in all, I'm okay with the condensers as far as how they look and how they're built. The coil has the same metal, same slick finish. Just got normal insulation glued on the inside here. Both of these looks like the metric copper, the smaller copper like Goodman uses in some of their products, or maybe did used to use. But it's got the blue fin coils. They do have the heat shrink or whatever on the smaller tubes like some of the manufacturers are doing now to try to prevent rub through on those. It is an orifice right here. The match on this for 14 SEER is a 3-ton AC condenser with what the numbers would say is a 2.5-ton coil, a 30. So the orifice has to be changed. It must come with a 63 orifice, and the matchup calls for a 70 orifice. When I opened up the outdoor unit, I was a little discouraged because there was no piston in it. And I was like, oh boy, I'm going to have to try to find a piston to put in this thing. Of course, I looked in the manual here, and the only thing it came with was some wire ties. But then I pulled the manual out of the indoor unit. I got a handful of pistons. So I looked, there is a 70 in there. So I'm okay on pistons, and I guess I'll have a lot of extras left over. I'm not sure they're thinking on that, but I'm glad to have extras. Anything else? Of course, the drain pan, it's not something that you rotate the drain pan to switch directions on this thing. You actually just point the coil the other direction. In my installation, I'll actually be coming in this way from the furnace and going out that way, so it'll be kind of traditional. Had I been going the other direction, this would be the inlet and this would be the outlet. I did notice, you know how for years these coils sat down in water and rotted. They did kind of design this coil to where the first rows are raised up out of the drain pan by a good inch to inch and a quarter. So that should help as far as the corrosion or just the general gunk that you get down there in the bottom of this thing at the drain pan when you're standing upright. Again, the cabinet seems to be well made. All the knockouts are already here for you. You just have to take out whichever plug you want. Nice little recessed piping plate there. The one thing I will note, that when you traditionally get any of the air conditioners or heat pumps I've ever bought that doesn't have a dryer pre-installed like a Goodman, comes with an external dryer that you put in the liquid line on the when you do the install. This particular unit, maybe because they ship them from China, I don't know, maybe because they want to save some money somewhere, it says the dryer is a field installed part. So I had to pick up a liquid line dryer. So, you know, the hundreds of dollars I saved on buying AmeriStar over American Standard, I lost $18 of it buying a dryer back. So pros and cons. So I'll try to get some video out at the site when I put this thing in tomorrow and see how it sounds when it starts up. I guess I'll get to start it up tomorrow. It's going to be in the upper 50s. Just have to see how the weather actually does. But all in all, first look, I'm impressed with the quality of the cabinet and the paint and even the features, such as this top or that backing plate over there for the contactor and the capacitors to screw to. I don't know if any of y'all have ever tried to add a hard start kit or a different defrost board or something to a unit, and you're going to have to screw it into the control box here. You're always looking down here to make sure you're not going to hit any wires. In this case, of course, you just use a short screw and never get anywhere close to any wires. So I like that part. I think all manufacturers should have something like that. So I'll see you back at the job site tomorrow and see if we can't get some video of this thing going in. Well, it's kind of a foggy, dreary, drizzly morning, but I've got everything loaded in the van and got the unit and the pad strapped down on this little trailer here. Got me a little aluminum trailer to haul these units on. It makes it nice. I'm going to head on that way. I can always do the indoor part. If it doesn't clear up, I'll just wait until it does to do the outdoor condenser work. But it's supposed to clear off this afternoon for a little bit and rain again tomorrow, and then have a real cold weekend here. Arctic blast coming in from Canada. You guys can keep it up there if you want to. Here's what we're taking out. An old 1983 Carrier. They're going to put some siding on this building and wrap these line sets and whatnot. I'll put a new line in, but we'll wrap they'll wrap over all the drain lines and whatnot. This is why you always want to check your connections for tightness. See how that wire started to melt the insulation? It's been loose for a while. This is what we're taking out up here. Got the old Carrier furnace there. Slab coil. And then the ductwork goes over this way. I'm going to actually turn the other coil facing the opposite side. There's more room over there. Don't have this return duct behind you. And I don't think it'll be too many years before they need a furnace as well. So get this coil and that ductwork transition took out of here and see what we got to make. Okay, there's our old heat exchanger. I've looked back in there. I don't see anything obvious as far as rust through. Well, I can't imagine it's going to last much longer. And on this end we have some nice turning vanes built into that 8-inch duct. Okay, I got the old transition, took off the furnace and modified. Actually just used the metal out of it and made 4 new pieces. Put it together for the to match the new coil. Keep it level at the top so that the ductwork will line up for now. I think what I'll do on this piece is pull those 2 drives out and take this entire piece outside. Then I can mount my coil and get me some measurements to see what I need to do in order to adapt it back over to the T there at the supply duct. Okay, it did have a 63 orifice in it. This is a 70 that was in the packet with a bunch of others, and they give you this nice little stick-on chart. However, I don't know why you'd ever want to stick it on, but if I match it up, it calls for a 70 for my setup. So I'll put this little guy in there, button her back up, and carry her up in the attic. Got her up and running here. letting it stabilize so we can check the charge. It's barely warm enough to check it out here. Got the eye manifold, new disconnect with 30 amp fuses. I'm going to straighten up all this stuff tonight, and then it's going to rain all day tomorrow. I get to go up in the attic and insulate the supply plenum, put a new thermostat on, things like that that I can do inside when it's raining. So I just wanted to get all this buttoned up out here. I went ahead and took this pigtail off and just run my wires all the way up into the contactor. I see no reason to have an extra connection. And one thing I didn't notice, but these things have gold-plated ground connectors. Yay, AmeriStar. It's a pretty quiet unit. You can hear the fan. I hear the compressor if I listen for it, but you don't really notice it. Get back away from it a little bit. So, got to load this thing on the trailer, pick up all these tools, strap down the line set, and put the cover on and call it a night. Alrighty, next morning, got everything finished up on her, insulated that transition I made up there. Didn't put any insulation here. The original one didn't have any. They actually heat this space with some gas heaters, and I figured it'd make it easier to put a new furnace in, because it's not going to be long on this baby. So that's AmeriStar. It's not American standard, but it's okay.